A lot has happened in Cardano over the last few days, including headlines like Cardano plunges 15% as developer warns of catastrophic issues. I'm just going to go through what has happened over the last few days, the issues, how it's been sorted out, and where we go from here. Really just want to focus on what does this mean for you as an investor? What does this mean for ADA, the value of ADA, the Vassal hard fork upgrade, which this issue is. So just going to go over this in a very non-biased way, just going through the facts as they are. So I'll try and leave the timestamps for all of that in the description as well. So firstly, this headline is just absolute A1 clickbait. It's just a perfect headline to obviously get people to click on here, and as usual, doesn't really give any real information. So firstly, this headline conflated a drop in the price of ADA with a catastrophic issue, which is absolutely false. The rest of the market went down last week, towards the end of last week. It dropped, the whole market dropped. Bitcoin dropped 11% last week. That kind of very big red candle down. Ethereum dropped 17%, Solana itself 20%, and Cardano 20%. That's normal. Cardano, the smaller smart contract chains have a much higher beta to what Bitcoin does, and so there was virtually no price movement based off of this. The issue that which came out. So firstly, that headline's wrong. It was just a completely normal move, in line with other coins. So before we get onto that though, if you want to talk about this, Cardano, and what's going on, my portfolio joined thousands of other people chatting about this stuff. Check out the Crypto Investor course in the description. I'm going to be adding some new videos to this very soon as well, which come for free for existing users. So check that out in the description. So really the big issue here, okay, is that IOG created code for the Vassal hard fork that had bugs in it. Okay, and so that's not good, but that happens all of the time, and that's what testnets are for. So the issue came out towards the end of last week, essentially, that stake pool operators came out on social media and said, we aren't comfortable upgrading and other people shouldn't upgrade either. IOG has been pushing people to upgrade because they want the Vassal hard fork to go through, because they have a very large amount of app developers who want to launch their applications, and they're pushing IOG to do this. We need the Vassal hard fork out. We need it done because we want to launch these apps. And so IOG was pushing this, even though there were some bugs found by some of the stake pool operators that were testing this thing. So that is kind of the issue between what IOG was doing and what the stake pool operators were doing. But there's a very clear explanation of what's going on. So Charles came out with this tweet. It's bizarre and alarmist seeing these videos floating around that things are being rushed with the node 1.35.3. So 135.0 was the node that IOG wanted to launch for the Vassal hard fork. People discovered bugs, and so you had 135.0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, right? All of these upgrades where the bugs are trying to get tested and removed. So let's go on to exactly what happened here, and this is a great breakdown. So I'll try and leave all of these Twitter accounts in the description so you can kind of go through these yourself as well. But just the main issue is that IOG created code that had bugs in it, and the stake pool operators tested it, found the bugs, and weren't happy. That's essentially it. But as we can see here, let's break down some of the things that might explain to others why some stake pool operators are currently a bit unhappy. And obviously that is for the Vassal hard fork, and people want to test this out, right? So they were doing that and they found some bugs. So after a while, IOG decided to fork the legacy testnet into Babbage era so everyone can start testing. So there was a call that everybody must upgrade to 135.0. At the same time, IOG announced that they are confident that 135.0 will most likely be the node that we fork the mainnet with. Every SBO feel free to upgrade to the mainnet. Turned out in the testnet that actually had some bugs and was not ready. So came 135.1.2. That was released on GitHub with the message that from IOG that this is the version we will hard fork with. That went well on the surface, but the bug that this stake pool operator found raised the issue about, which was also the reason that they now have 135.3, started to manifest on mainnet. So the issue here was what IOG was telling everyone, upgrade on mainnet, it's all good to go. But these bugs were being found on the mainnet because different stake pool operators were upgrading to different versions of the node, right? The 35.1, 2, 3. The problem here, though, as you can see, is that because some of those nodes were running on mainnet, it started to create forks on mainnet, which led to many lost blocks for stake pool operators that were running 135.1, I think. Again, as a reminder, IOG released this version and said they are confident about this one. So what is the underlying problem? It is the testing environment itself, because first, test chains use peer-to-peer. Why? It's easier to manage. No one to blame here. That's the reason the fee bug didn't come up in any testnet before. After that, we had some talks, and the outcome was to change the test scenarios so we can better reflect the mainnet mixed environment on a testnet. That means there are different versions of the node that stake pool operators are running that are actually running on the mainnet now. So the outcome is that the mainnet itself is currently the testnet for the node in a real mixed environment, meaning there are different versions of it running now on mainnet. Again, no one to blame here. Everyone is giving 100% and is trying to do the right thing. But we had some good outcomes about what to change in the testnet environment, and you might now understand a bit better why it came to the point that some devs or SPOs brought up the issue in public because they feel it is rushed. That is the launch of the new node, because they found bugs. This was manifesting a little bit on the mainnet, and so some of the SPOs were like, hey, look, we just need to go back to square one and actually test this thing. And IOG, obviously, and Charles as well, getting really kind of frustrated here and saying, let's just launch with it, let's go. Yes, this is a mess, to be honest, but the main thing is coming now, which I'll explain. Firstly, this is not great, right? It's not good news. There's bugs. There were bugs found, and it was starting to manifest on mainnet, so not great. However, we don't have to get too worried about this because of what I'll just show you. So firstly, I kind of like this tweet as well. Our top SPOs are saying to continue testing. IOG saying to upgrade. Feels like decentralization. I think it's really important to understand here that what has come out, it doesn't look great, but let's just put that aside because that's irrelevant now. That's gone. We have a community here where it's run by the people that run the network. IOG can't force anything through. And it's the SPOs, the people that actually run the stake pools and run the network, who have final decision with this stuff, which is absolutely great. And this is the whole point of a decentralized network. So in that regard, I think it kind of worked, right? The whole point of this thing is that you have checks and balances from other people that are running the system. And so, that is what you want in a system like this. So this tweet here, I think I properly reproduced the bug that was in 135.2 that caused issues for testnet on the SPO devnet going on as right now. This is good. As of now, it does seem like 134.1 and 135.3 behave as expected in terms of smart contract usage. Everything is looking good. Now the nodes that run 135.1 and 0.3 will not include incorrect transaction into the chain if a bad node 135.2 submits it. So this 135.2 is the bad node, and that's also the thing I think that has destroyed the testnet. Like the testnet's gone. So obviously that's what they're for. Not great, but it is what it is. The 135.2 actually ends up just holding the transaction in their local mempool. All other nodes just pass it. Submitting this transaction on a good node fails as expected. The problem seems to be triggered by 135.2 node allowing build raw to produce a valid transaction with very low fees. The difference was almost 150,000 Lovelaces. Essentially, this code in 135.2 has a critical bug, but what this guy's saying is that now essentially the other nodes will see this and basically bypass it, and obviously not have that problem with the mainnet going forward. There is a lot more testing to be done, but at least the weird fee bug is, well, at least what appears to be fixed. We also have this tweet from one of the stake pool operators that actually came out and said they weren't happy and they wanted to test more. This is after all of the kind of initial, what went on. The fix in 135.3 is successful and confirmed by many other SPOs that helped test. Looking good for Vassal Hard Fork. These people here are rock stars for crafting the devilish test transaction. We also have another tweet recently as well from Conrad, who's a big stake pool operator and has other projects within the Cardano ecosystem, retweeting this to confirm that as of now, All tests demonstrate that 135.3 is in fact ready to go. All issues detected on 135.0, 1 and 2 could not be recreated. We also have more confirmation of this from other stake pool operators replying in the tweet thread, Adaberry Pi here, reporting ready for the Vassal hard fork event. These little Raspberry Pi SBCs are fully updated to 135.3 and ripping along beautifully on mainnet, powered by 100% pure AZ Sunshine, which is pretty cool. So yes, there was a ton of headlines and FUD and complete nonsense, but there was an issue. IOG wrote code that had bugs in it. They were trying to force people to upgrade, or at least push people to upgrade, because they want this Vassal hard fork to come through, because they know they've been getting a lot of pressure from app developers saying, hey, look, we're ready to go. We've been ready for like a year, and our businesses are probably, during the bear market, just leaking cash, right? Because they are putting money into these businesses, but they can't launch yet. So IOG have a ton of pressure to push this through, telling people, telling stake pool operators, upgrade. Different people are upgrading on different types of nodes on the mainnet. There's a bug here that's seen. It's not great, but it looks to be, for now, that the SPOs have got their way, which is decentralization of a network, which should be happening. And it looks like that 135.3 is actually, and 135.1 seem to be doing pretty well on the mainnet. And any bugs that were found in the 135.2 or the other bugs that were found seem to be not being recreated, and everything seems to be going well on the mainnet. So as a summary of these events that's happened right here, if you read headlines like catastrophic failure, no, Cardano is not broken. This is fairly normal for technology, right? And I'm going to get onto that in a second, like why this in the big scheme of things really just is not that important to me, knowing that we're seeing these stake pool operators saying, we have done a bit more testing. We seem to have found the bugs. We can recreate the bugs, and they're not present in what the new nodes are that we can run on the mainnet. So that's good news, right? The testnet is dead because of this. So they killed the testnet, but that's what testnets are for, I guess. IOG does not control Cardano. Even though they tried to push this through and some people are upgrading, the stake pool operators and the community stopped it because they weren't happy. And so that is a decentralized community coming together and actually doing what's right for the network. Also really important through this, just to highlight, is that the Vassal hard fork will not happen until 75% of stake pools upgrade. That's what triggers the hard fork, where you essentially get, the new blockchain, right? And so until 75 are upgraded, it will not occur. This is what's kind of crazy, right? It's not like IOG saying, we're going to pick a date and we're going to pick the code and that's that. Unless the stake pool operators upgrade, 75% of them, it just won't happen. That's kind of amazing and kind of scary at the same time. But it feels like there's maybe a rush or a lot of pressure to get this done quickly, because it's already behind schedule. You have all the applications that want to launch, but it will not happen until 75% are ready. But it seems to me like we're getting some trickles of good news here. 135.3 seems ready to go. I think really important as well is that the ETH merge is happening now, and it's happening on the 15th or 16th of September, and that's pretty much hard-coded into that now. That merge is happening, and that is one of the biggest, if not the biggest event in crypto. I would say it's the biggest event in crypto right now. And so I get that IOG, and Charles specifically, I'm sure, because of his history, want this Vassal to come before the merge, right? So just keep this in your diary. I think it would be, let's say a kind of egg on face if it came after the merge, considering that they wanted it to happen June, July time. It's getting delayed. He wants it to push through, but you cannot push anything through until it's ready. There's obviously a huge competition here, very competitive between Cardano and ETH, but the ETH merge is going to suck up a lot of the headlines and eyeballs. And so for Cardano, selfishly for Cardano, you want that to happen before the ETH merge, so that Cardano can have its spotlight as well, and some of these applications can have their spotlight. And obviously that's a competition. So I would like it to happen before the merge, of course. If it doesn't, well, that's just that. In reality, over the many years, this is all going to be completely irrelevant. What I want to focus on really is this is really just short-term technology, and there are issues and they get sorted out, and the Vassal hard fork will happen. But what's really important to me is the applications that are coming. How many people can they attract? How much money can they attract? You know, how profitable can they be? Because at the end of the day, all of this stuff, all of this technology and upgrading, it will just fade into insignificance over time, where there are many different ways to skin a cat. And so Cardano has its own way, but in reality, as an investor in ADA, we need economic activity on top of Cardano. This is one of the steps, right? This is one of the steps that's going to happen that will be a building block for that. But now you need applications to launch, to attract money into the system, trading and investing, and that's what you need to build value for ADA over the long term. So whilst this is a focus for now, and I think it's being sorted out, what needs to happen with ADA is actual economic activity on top. And so that's what I'm really focused on over the next 6 to 12 months. So what are they building and how can they build out value for applications, for users, and therefore ADA as well. So that is what I've been saying in previous videos, and that's what I'll continue to say and focus on. Check out for next week's video as well. I'm doing a massive kind of overview of all of the apps and also stable coins and things like that being built on ADA, because that's a massive area where value can be created. And I think it's important if you're an investor or if you want to actually use these applications to know what you're getting into before putting money onto these things. So I'll cover that in next week's video. Do check out the crypto investor course and the community as well if you want to talk about this a little bit more in depth. There's thousands of people that are invested across crypto that can talk about this. I'm in those groups. You can see my trades and my portfolio as well. I'll leave all of the links to all of the people I talked about as well in the description below. I'm James, it's Money's EG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.